Hi, welcome to another new video. In a previous video that I did about Tokyo at night, we discovered the interesting use of fountain pen inks for painting dark night scenes. So in this video, we'll dive into the world of fountain pen inks. We'll look at how you can apply them to your artwork. So what are fountain pen inks? We know that fountain pen inks are colored liquids made from dyes, water, and additives. There are a few types of additives. Surfactants, they are used to change the surface tension of the ink. Because fountain pen contains more complicated tubings, and the liquid has to be formulated specially so that the ink is able to flow through. There are also pH modifiers to protect the pen and perhaps stabilize the formulation, and also preservatives to prevent mold from growing. Some new inks use pigment in place of dyes, but that's relatively rare. It's formulated and then you fill into fountain pens for writing onto paper. So I've talked about paper for fountain pen in a previous video. The most obvious application for fountain pen ink is in ink and wash techniques. So what is an ink and wash technique? It's where you draw out your artwork with a fountain pen, ink with waterproof inks, and then you apply a thin wash of watercolor. This is especially popular amongst urban sketches. However, not many inks are waterproof. So regarding the fountain pen inks that are supposed to be waterproof, this is what I would suggest you look at. So for example, for Lexington Grey, this is a nodeless ink. You will see here that it says it's UV light proof, it's water based, bulletproof. It says here bulletproof on cellulose paper. So it would be waterproof and you can't remove it if you use it on cellulose paper, so probably not on everything else, and it does wash off plastic with tap water, so that's a special thing about the nodeless ink. Then for platinum, they have this series called the carbon ink and the pigment ink, and on them you will see things like 耐水 and 耐光. So 耐水 here means water resistant or waterproof, and 耐光 性 means it's light fast or it's able to be protected against the light. And 保存文字等最适合, so it means like it's good or like very good for using on for archival purposes. And there are also super 5 inks here, and right here waterproof. So these are supposed to be also pretty. These are samples, but these are also those inks that you can actually keep. They are waterproof, and here are notable examples that I only recently realized that they are waterproof. The Saboku ink, Soboku ink, and this is the Kiwaguro ink. So these three from Sailor, they are supposed to be waterproof. These two I tested. I read somewhere that the Kiwaguro is not very. There are also other inks, for example the Trementis, the Rona and Klinger. So this is another brand, the Chinese Tromo ink that I have, and this one is supposed to be also waterproof. So it doesn't say here, but it's waterproof. What about painting with inks, you ask? Sure, you are not limited to using them in pens. You can pour out the inks for painting. But if you're going to display your work, you will have to look out for light fast inks. So inks are mostly dye-based, so they will degrade under the UV light. So look out for properties like archival, light fast. So this is what I've done, the light fastness test that I've done on all the inks that I have. Some of these are actually, most of them are dye-based. Only these at the top, and also these three at the bottom, they are pigment, and they are supposed to be light fast inks, pigmented and light fast inks. The rest are all dye-based inks, and as you can see, this is a before. So if you look at the swatch, how it goes is that the right hand side is where it's exposed to light, and the left hand side is where it's left in the cupboard, and you can actually see the light fastness being very poor, especially for the dye-based colors. They are really bad. Some of these are just really gone, like especially this one is it's so strong, but it's just gone. And as for the pigmented inks like the bulletproof, the platinum and the bulletproof, they stay the same for most, at least for a good one month. Okay, so if you want something to be more or less light fast and could stick with you when you draw it and put it hanging on a wall, these are pigmented inks are those that you should look for, and definitely not dye-based inks. Okay, if you are happy to have your artwork in sketchbooks, or if you will scan your sketch artwork to make them into prints, you don't mind the work itself fading, there are a lot of options. Because fountain pen makers are coming out with more and more colors. For example, Sailor Ink Studio has about 100, Diamond has over 400 inks, and recently there are specialty inks with sheening and shimmering properties, and even color shifting inks, and these special inks took the ink world by storm. Now you're comparing the sheening inks on various paper. So this first paper is a paper that is a fountain pen paper. So this is how the ink should look. So if it's sheening, there should be a little bit. Can you actually see here that there's when the ink you get more pooling of the ink, you get this different kind of color when you move the paper. And on the Yupo paper, you get to see like the synthetic paper. You can see that sheening effect, right? Can you actually see that it actually looks a little bit of a dark, like teal color, and then darkish color, and then when you move it up, you do see like another color. So, but on the watercolor paper, nothing. And so if you're using watercolor paper, it's highly unlikely that you see any difference. So we could give the sheening inks a miss. For inks that are what we call the unicorn inks, where they actually change, the looks change depending on what paper you use. You can actually see this in the Sailor 280. So the Sailor 280 looks like this. Can you see, like at different parts you get a little bit more of that brown, and in certain parts you get the green. On the watercolor paper, you still can see a little bit differences. And on the Yupo paper, synthetic paper, it became like a purple color. So it's very interesting. Magical unicorn color shifting inks that separates into different colors, and these give you very interesting patterns. The rose antique is a shimmering ink. You could actually see the shimmer, right? And you do get to see that in the watercolor paper as well. So this is probably okay for you to use when you are using it, when you are using it for watercolor painting. It does impart a little bit of like fairiness, the magical sparkling effect, right? Shimmer inks do add some fine shiny particles, and this can create some kind of like a magic or some kind of like a added opulence to your painting. Because ink are inactivated by bleach, it's also possible to use bleach to our advantage. So you can actually add kind of bleach, a little bit of bleach, diluted amount to the inks, and sometimes they will discolor, and it's in a very unexpected manner. But do note that it only works with dye-based inks. Fountain pen inks offer a new way to paint, don't you think? And if you have no time to paint with them, you could also use them for what they're made for. Put them in the fountain pen for writing. Alright, from the demo you can see how inconvenient it is to actually use inks like this for painting, and I can't even think about using it for urban sketching. It's probably unthinkable. So, when you have a problem, it gives rise to people being more innovative, and we have this brand called Kuretake. They came up with cheap disposable felt tip pens and brush pens that you can fill with any inks that you want, and there is no need to bring out your ink bottle every time you want to use them in your painting. So if you'd like to see how you can make use of the ink in a more convenient way, stay tuned to the next video as I introduce these pens. I hope you enjoyed this video, and hope this video helps you understand more about fountain pen inks. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. See you in the next one. Bye bye.